Hey, Mr. Clash here with a video talking about how to predict whereabouts your hogs and loons are going to go once they enter a base. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm using the same base that I did the other day when I was talking about building an army or how to know which army to use for a base. And what I did was I drew a little line like this and I said balloons will go this way. And if you drop balloons, they'll go this way. And so what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to show you, there are two aspects to the balloons. One is where they're going to go when you first drop them. That's the first aspect. And then the second aspect is where they're going to go once they get into the base. They follow the same rules, but I need to show you the two different ways that you can look at that. So we'll firstly have a look at the outside version and then come back here. I'll show you a couple of little tacks and we'll cover the inside version of how to know where balloons are going to go. Okay, so here we are in one of the goblin villages, and in this case it's Mega Mansion, which is just near the bottom. Now, what I did was, I had the hog pathing, loon pathing video, so I'm just going to cover it here. The balloons will go to the closest weapon. And how do you know that the closest weapon is? Well, you draw a line between the weapons that you might be thinking of going to and another weapon that could be in the way. So in this case, we're going to see if we can actually get to the mortar. So you've drawn the two lines from the archer to the mortar and the mortar to the other archer. Then you come out perpendicular from that line. Now my lines aren't going to be 100% perfect, but this is just to give you a rough idea on how to figure out where it is that you need to deploy. So now we can figure out, can we deploy a balloon and get it to go to the mortar? And if we deploy it inside of this line here, then the balloon should go to the mortar. So I'll click the balloon, I'll drop it here and watch the mortar carefully for the crosshairs. There we go. It is heading to the mortar and the archers will shoot it. Now if I just come up here a little bit, we'll see if it should go to the archer tower. And there we go, it's going to the archer tower. Up here, now depending if I've drawn my lines correctly, it should go to the mortar, or to the X mortar. There we go. So even though it was way up there, because it was inside those lines that I drew, it is actually going to the mortar. And then when we come outside to this right hand side line, I should get it to go to this other archer. Well, look at that. I've destroyed the mortar now, so I've sort of ruined the example. But you can see that's the principle involved. Okay, so we'll go back to the other village and then I'll talk more about what's going on there. Okay, so you've seen that. That's how you know the balloons will go to the closest thing. And that's how you can graphically represent what the closest thing is when you're outside of the base. That principle actually works the same inside the base, but I'll just show you here for the moment what's going to happen if you drop balloons. They will come to this archer tower and they'll pause about here somewhere. Then you can see that from here to the air defense is way longer than from here to the cannon. So they'll go to the cannon. They'll pause around here somewhere. Now from the cannon to the wizard tower is still a shorter distance than from the cannon to the air defense. So then they'll go to the wizard tower and pause around here somewhere, destroy the wizard tower. Now the next closest thing from the wizard tower is the expo, and they'll come to the expo here and they'll pause here. And now this is where it gets interesting. Depending on whereabouts they pause, counting the tiles from the archer tower to where they pause and the tiles from where they pause to the air defense. So depending on how many balloons were involved in this process, you might actually get some go that way and some go this way. So that's, and I'm going to show you that now, and we know where the balloons stop because we're going to have a look at the shadow of the balloons. So we'll have a look at that now. Okay, so on this particular base, on this attack here, the balloons will be coming into the wizard, Tesla, and all this sort of area here. So we need to know for sure, do we know where the balloons are going to go? And we can follow the same principle here on the initial deployment, just to find out where we might need to deploy if we're going to get the balloons to where we want them to go. Okay, so this is a little bit of a, it's not entirely accurate, but it's going to give you a rough idea so you can see what's actually going on. In terms of the balloon pathing, the balloon AI in your head. So on the initial drop here on these balloons, we'll get the attack going so you can see what's going to happen here. The lava hound's going to come in. So watch for the shadow just near the army camp. and the lines I've drawn. Okay, so obviously my line is out. You just saw where the balloons dropped there. So we'll have a look at the line again. Okay, so, and let's just redraw the line entirely, I think is the best thing to do here. So we've got to go from the middle of the wizard, and that's why it's hard to get. Middle of the wizard to the middle of the archer. Okay, so then we go halfway between that, and that looks probably better. So you can see, there we go. I've tried not to do a dodgy line, but that looks kind of better to what you saw happen to what I just showed you in the example. So that's how we get the initial deployment going in. Now from here, what we're going to do is have a look at the shadows of the balloons, and I'm going to pause it as we go. So watch these balloons just coming over the army camp now. They've got a lava hound coming in, lava hound coming in. Okay, so they stopped just short of that archer tower. Now they'll go to this army camp, and it will see the shadow of the lava hound. Now watch the balloon shadow coming from here. They've just dropped the archer tower. So watch their shadow, watch their shadow. Okay, stop there. Right, so from their shadow here, the next option that we have is, after this air defense goes down, if this tower, bomb tower is still up, that's a consideration. But also looking at this mortar and looking at the cannon, which one is actually closer to these shadows? So you can count the tiles. You can see the shadows is about half on that tile. So if you just counted coming straight across, you've got one tile, the walls are one tile, three tiles is the edge of the mortar. So from here, from this shadow, you've got one tile here, one tile dirt, and one tile grass is the edge of the cannon. So 3 tiles that way, 3 tiles this way. However, you might remember from your school days, a diagonal Pythagoras sort of a thing, right angle triangle, right? These tiles are right angle, are squares, right? So I'm coming across the square this way, and this way I'm going diagonally across the tile, which would be the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle, and that is a longer distance to the cannon. So therefore the balloons, after they destroy this air defense, should come over to the mortar. So we'll see if that's what actually happens. And look at that, they came over to the mortar. They came over to the mortar because the mortar was the closest thing. Oh, look at that, the hounds are popping, and I stopped it in the right place. Okay, so moving on from there. Again, have to watch, the same principle is involved here. Okay, now everything's coming over to path on this air defense. So from there, you would have to assume it's all going to go over to the cannon, and this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so, well, okay, that's gone down. So the balloons are in a spread from the air defense to over here. See where the shadow is near the wall. So they're all going to hit on this cannon, because again, if you drew the line from the archer tower to the cannon, came halfway out and just drew over, you would see if all the little shadows are on one side of the line or the other. So if they come over to the cannon like they are, okay, now they all hit this cannon at different angles. Some of these came from here, and this one over here has come from here, so its shadow is over here. So some of these balloons will be on this side of the cannon, therefore closer to the archer tower, and some of them will be on this side of the cannon and further away from the archer tower and closer to the wizard. So once that cannon goes down, they split up. So that is why they split up, and now that's why they all are going to the Tesla. So I want to show you one other attack where that works out brilliantly, and I'll pause that one a few times as we go as well. Alright, now here we are in a different attack now. So just to have a look at what's going to go on here, you can just see that the attacker has dropped some balloons here. So look at their shadows, they're going to go onto the wizard. So based on what I've just shown you, if there were no other balloons, these balloons will go wizard, cannon, 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 archer, cannon, and then the next closest thing is the air defense. That's the path. If there were no other balloons, that's what's going to happen. So keep going, and I'll pause this as we go so you can see further. Okay, another set of balloons, another set of balloons. Lava hound's coming in. Lava hound, more balloons. Okay, I'll stop it there for a second. Now you can see that the balloons on the wizard got here first. So they'll destroy the wizard, then they'll go to the cannon. With these other balloons, they'll then go to the archer. And then with these balloon coming in, the whole lot will go to this cannon here. Now there are other balloons to consider coming into this wizard and cannon up here, and there'll be something interesting going on as well as they path to this other air defense. And then you'll begin to see what all that means in terms of predicting where the balloons are going to go. So, wizard to the cannon, to the archer, haste spell to the cannon, and to the air defense, exactly as predicted by following that pathing line. Now, I need to draw your attention to, and then from here, from this air defense, you've got to think, well, where's the next closest thing from this air defense? Is it the blower? It's not the Tesla. Maybe some might go back to the cannon, depending. You'd have to count the tiles, but pretty sure it's going to be the blower. So you go there. All right, so now this lava hound's gone over to this other air defense. This has just gone down. This cannon's about to go down. And you know, based on what I've just shown you, the next closest thing is the mortar. For all of these balloons, it's the mortar. But something interesting is going to happen here. So what I'll do is I'll just draw a line here between the cannon and the air defense. And then hopefully I'll get this line kind of good. Okay, that's roughly the middle way, roughly. Okay, my drawing's not that great, it's rough. So watch what happens with the balloons now. Okay, so, okay, see that, there we go. The mortar's down, and now these balloons will go to the archer, and these balloons way up here, look where their shadows are, they're on this side of the line, and that's why they're coming to the air defense. So that's what's going on with that. Whoops, let's get rid of that off the screen. Okay, so there'll be more of this as we go on. Now, if you just notice then, these balloons started to come down, but then this weapon got destroyed, so then they reallocated themselves over to here. And it's following the same principle. Which thing is closer, which thing is closer. So what we're going to do here is also have a look at coming on from the arch tower to the mortar. Okay, so I'm going to draw another little line on the screen here. So again, following that same sort of principle. So we've got the mortar line coming up to that, and then we're coming out perpendicular. Whoa, that's no so good. And we'll go from the archer tower to there. I think that's probably going to be we'll do this one. We'll go from the archer tower to the Tesla, and then we'll come out from the Tesla. Okay, that's a rough idea, just to give you an idea of what's going to go on here. So I'll press play. Okay, got a haste spell coming, haste spell, there they go. Okay, stop there. All these balloons you can see are on this side of the line, except this balloon up here. Its shadow's nowhere to be seen, therefore it's on the other side of the line, and it pathed over to the Tesla. So that is what you're getting with balloon pathing. The balloons go to the closest thing there is. So when we that's how balloons work. So when you wondered why, when I was in this base and I was drawing a line and I was saying the balloons will go this way, this way, this way, that's because that's the closest thing there is to those balloons, and I've just shown you how you can figure that out. You can see how it works in live action, and also how you can figure that out before you actually deploy. Hogs do the same. Hogs tend to wrap around a little bit, so some hogs will bump off in a direction that you might not anticipate. But you do that. Get a screen cap of the base that you want to attack, and then start drawing lines like I do. Just draw lines, and then you can figure out where your balloons are going to go. So that's it for today. Now before I go, quick question. What do you call a man who's lying at your front doorstep? Right in front of your front door. What do you call a man lying in front of your front door? You call him Matt. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you've found something useful in this. Please leave the video a thumb up. Please share the video with your clanmates. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.